Welcome to the In My Opinion Show with Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends. Seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. Please join us. Also, I want to introduce our co-host, Ms. Jackie Williams.
Happy New Year, fellas.
Happy New Year, Jackie.
Happy New Year. And Mr. Henry Hatter.
Happy New Year, Ron and Jackie.
And Happy New Year to everyone out there in TV land. Hope everybody had a wonderful time. Let's talk about something that's really horrible, in my opinion. All right? Trump puts children in cages. This is so appalling. When I seen this, I had tears coming to my eyes. Okay? These are human beings, and they're being treated like dogs. Okay? And I'm sure millions of our viewers out there have seen pictures of this horrendous act. How in good conscience could the President of the United States put these children in cages, separate them from their families? They've got them scattered all over the country, and some of them have already been adopted. Now, how inhumane is that? They may not ever see their loved ones again. Okay, I just don't understand it. Have we brought the nation to this decay? And that's what it is. It's decay of people's rights and humanity. Jackie, I'm sure that you've seen some of these scenes. All right, where they got them packed in these cages. Okay, they got some little silver stuff covering them for blankets, and they're just packed in there like sardines. This is horrible. Horrible.
Well, I have, and as a mother, it really breaks my heart because we're caretakers, and to see your children go through so much. And when you come to the United States, you're trying to get away from the dysfunction of where you're coming from. And I'm not saying everybody that comes is under good standing, but the people that they said are showing up at the border is more like mothers and children. And of course, you have some sprinkle of some people that need to stay where they're at. But I was listening to an interview of the Secretary of Homeland Security, which is Christine Nelson, and she was speaking with a doctor. And what is found is that the facilities that were holding them in was not made for children. It was made for men. They have not been upgraded. They were made for men because the standards of which they operate. One of the things that they were concerned about for children is that there's open toilets, there's no concealment, and that's where the germs are coming from. There's not enough medical staff, and the lights stay on 24 hours a day. So that's very disheartening to children because they don't know when to rest or whatever, and they're not being let out in a good time. And the other thing is that they're having unprepared staff or under-skilled staff oversee them, and they've had a lot of inside issues where you had some people that were molesting. They've brought charges to one that was shooting people that weren't even in danger or danger to them. So it's just a really big dysfunction on the part of the United States. So it doesn't fall on the shoulders of Donald Trump. It falls on the shoulders of all of us because we're allowing it to happen. And it's still going on. And even though a lot of the children were unified with their families, there's still a lot that went back to their countries. And so they, like you said, they don't speak a lot of English. And a lot of them will never see their parents again because it's hard to locate them because they weren't gathering data as they were coming over. So there's several issues that are going to plague. And she said this is mental for children. This is very mentally disabling for children because being detached from your parents and also being in a strange land by yourself, undergoing these circumstances.
And also, too, with this situation going on, this is a hotbed for terrorists. all right? When these children, they will grow up, okay? And they will have these memories.
Yeah.
And it'll be directed at the United States. There's other things that the United States government could do, okay? They could go over to these countries, all right? Have a workable plan in terms of jobs and schooling and so forth. The government knew about all of this years ago, okay? They knew this was coming. That's why they have these think tanks. They knew it was coming. They should have been proactive, okay? These are human beings. These are God's children. And you don't do this to these people. This is the same thing as what Hitler did, okay? But only they put them in furnaces and killed them. Thank God this is not happening here, but there's already been some children that have died, okay, coming from South America. This is cruel and unusual punishment at its worst. Mr. Hedder?
Thank you. Well, Jackie, what you say is difficult for me to refute. I believe what you say. It is a terrible thing to see children suffer under these circumstances. But by the same token, I'm not going to give you a political response, because you know what a political response is. It's just tit for tat.
Right.
But I want to talk about something that's reasonable. And the reason these kids are in this predicament is because people are pushing them on us. There's a process that you use for any nation in the world, and they all agree that they have boundaries around, and they're sovereign. You don't come into their countries unless you're invited or you're permitted through some process. In this case, there has been evidence shown that people are throwing kids out there to put them in these circumstances, and the cages are not there to punish the kids, but it's to contain them until they figure out what to do. And it takes a process to find out what to do. They take legal parameters, and we're a legal nation with laws and rules that we have to follow in that process. In this case, I think that this is a ploy that someone is putting on the United States, and the United States is buying it. We cannot take everybody into this country and maintain stability in our own population because of all the things that the country has to deal with: crime, drugs, employment, etc. And anybody who wants to come in this country, and I welcome them, and we cannot do without foreigners.
That's right.
We cannot do without immigrants. I hope everybody understands that, because a lot of our processes won't get done without the immigrant.
Right.
But we want them to come in legally. We want them to come in. We'd like to have the most educated of them to come in.
But is
at
that
least
fair?
with a
Is that fair?
from our perspective, it is. We have a nation that requires a lot on education. We were conceived as an intellectual nation, and we try to bring everybody up to that form. Everybody doesn't want to get there to be intellectual. Everybody doesn't want to follow the law, but we have to aspire to that. Sure, we want the people, but we also, on the other side, we want people who come in and contribute to our economy, not drag on it, not suck away its nutrients, but people who contribute to the nation. We want Americans who are born here to do the same thing, but it's difficult to do that.
For our own to do it.
Yeah, it's difficult for our own people, because they think that all foreigners, those people are the ones that you step on. They work for less, they have less value.
But I'm glad you said that, because the misinformation is they're taking our jobs. They're not taking our jobs, because I don't want to pick corn. I mean,
No.
they do a lot of stuff that Americans are not trying to do.
Thank you.
So that's false information. You're not taking jobs that we want to do. They're doing jobs that we just leave because, people say, well, there's no jobs. Well, there's jobs you just don't want to do.
Yeah, now whose fault is that? Now we have to find out, who do we blame for this? Do we blame ourselves, or do we blame the people coming in? There's a discussion we need to have at a table to reconcile where we are and what should be done next. And I don't say that the process that the president is using right now is the best process, but we have to talk ourselves through that. And he has until Americans agree that we have a place for all of the people who want to come in here, we have settled nothing.
But do we have a treaty with them? Is that correct? I was watching a documentary, and it's like we have a treaty that if they come over to seek asylum, we have...
Yeah, that's worldwide.
Okay,
That's
so my
worldwide.
point is, these people are seeking asylum.
Yeah.
Until they have their day in court, we can't judge what their situation
Yes, we can.
is. No, we cannot.
You don't come across the border.
No,
You
but
don't
I'm saying...
invade the country.
I'm not
This is
saying
a
to
sovereign
invade.
nation.
Yeah, I'm not saying to invade.
A sovereign nation.
Yes.
That's causing the conflict. People are coming in without going through the process.
But it's a lot of people that can't even get through doing the process, because as Sessions was in office, he took that if you were domestic violence, you couldn't seek asylum.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to tell somebody that that's not bad situations? You don't get to give them their day in court before they get to court. So you don't get to rule outside of what our treaty, and they said it was a violation of our treaty because it says until they have their day in court. So now what has happened is they're postponing all of these trials. They don't have enough judges. They don't have enough courts. They don't
Whose
have...
fault is that? We cannot go through a process.
We've never had this problem before.
Okay, then we have to deal with it the way it is.
It's the spin masters out there that's creating the havoc here, okay? The spin masters, whether it's the news, TV, print news, okay? Different, like Fox News, okay? A lot of this stuff is lies.
I agree.
All right?
And may I say this, what I'm thinking about? I noticed that you and Ron had bleeding hearts to begin with about these kids being in these terrible situations. They're bloody, they have colds, they're exposed to germs and stuff like that. But I want to remember, I said I wouldn't be political, but for a moment, I'm going to be political.
Imagine that.
I remember in 1620, when they had the first boatload of slaves come in, they were packed in those boats like sardines, and many of them died.
Right.
16,
Hang on.
it was 1619, and there was only 19 of them.
By 1 year.
Okay.
I've hit the area that I need to be in. But my point is, nobody bled for them. And you said, well, these kids will become terrorists. They will remember. I don't remember any of that.
But you don't. But
Yeah.
you cannot
And I don't
speak on
remember my
behalf
parents.
of all the black / Afro-American
okay. Don't intend to.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, before you step out there, make sure you understand that
I said
that's
it.
how you feel.
And I'll say
I
it
got
again.
a lot of angry black people
That's
that
okay.
are still angry. So I'm saying you might not have felt that way because your
But
boat
you
probably
can
was far
still,
removed.
you can still be angry.
But I'm
But
saying...
you will solve nothing but bloodshed.
And I understand it, but it wasn't. But this is the thing I'm saying. Compassion should run through our veins because this is something that
What was the compassion in 1619?
I can't worry about
Okay,
that.
okay.
But I'm accountable for right now.
Okay, now you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth.
No, I'm not.
Compassion
I'm just
for
going to
one,
tell
but
you.
not for the other.
No, I'm saying I can't do anything about slavery back then. I don't want to live in the past because I can't drive backwards, but I can drive forward and I can put it in drive. So what I'm saying is the compassion that they should have had for us when we were in slavery, I have for them because I understand how the sweat and tears of them trying to get a better life for their families. However, I do believe in processes, And so I'm not saying I want you to jump over the wall. I want you to dig under the wall. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if they go through, because they changed the entrance several times to confuse them, if they, because it's just
Did
a
they
whole bunch.
change it to confuse them or to try to rectify the situation at that moment?
No, no.
Didn't you know all of that? You have already done your investigation?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
and
okay.
they said they changed
stand
it
corrected.
because they interviewed them and they said that where they normally enter to get asylum, they changed it and they wouldn't let them seek asylum. They turned them away. So now your president is sending them to Mexico.
It's the president of the United States, please. It's our president,
Trump.
not yours.
Trump, right. Trump is sending them to Mexico until he's ready to receive them, and then falsifying information saying that they worked out something. The president said they didn't work out anything.
Well, see,
We have to be honest in order to fix it.
see, you have more information on that than I do, because I don't have any information.
Yeah, they were sending them they were sending them to Mexico to like a holding, and they were like, we can't hold them. It's not fair to them. That's not what we've ever done. We've never had this problem before. So then let's get back to the root of the problem. It's because we don't want people over here that don't look like some of us.
No, that has nothing to do.
No,
We
but
have-
Yes, it does.
it does.
Yes,
We
it
have
does.
we have to use those people. Immigrants are very important. I'll say that again, folks.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
They are.
Absolutely.
Important to the United
And
States,
they're
we
important
will
to the
always
president
have
of the United
immigrants.
States.
And we will, and we'll
Because he employed them.
after she's done, I'll finish.
Yeah.
But after, we will always welcome immigrants into this country because we can't do without them.
We should.
Yeah.
We should.
I don't know what that means.
Trump had his in-laws. They were immigrants.
But my
come in
argument
here.
is sovereignty.
But mine
It
is
has nothing to
too.
do with anything else except sovereignty.
Mine
All I'm
too.
saying is I just think if they're coming in and they're coming in the right way, then you need to give them due process.
What's the right way?
To seek asylum. They're
Okay.
coming in to seek
What about
asylum.
what do you put your emphasis on, sovereignty or asylum?
Whichever one is on. No, because if they're coming in and they're following the rules that we have and they're seeking asylum, we need to give them their day in
Where do you
court.
put your emphasis?
The status of who's coming, because it can't be a blanket.
It's got to be sovereignty. You can't invade our country.
What about all of the people that have
They
that-
invaded
that-
Africa.
that have lived in the
Okay,
United
okay.
States? Okay, what about all the people that have lived in the United States? Okay, even ones that have sacrificed their lives or been to or fighting for America. What has Trump done? Shot them out told them to get out of the country. Now that wasn't right. That's not right either. Thousands.
Military
Okay.
people that's
Well,
serving in the military.
If they, no, we don't.
But he's done that.
Henry,
Served in
people that are
the
serving in the military that are not citizens, he rejected them and they
Okay.
had to leave. And
Well,
they're fighting for
That
us.
fits the
Exactly.
that fits the framework for people who should be serving in the military. You must give your allegiance. You must.
They did.
Hang on. You must fulfill all of the requirements for citizenship and for induction into the military.
Well, that
They-
was
and
There
they've
was
done all
something
of
left.
that.
No, I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
If they were illegal,
Have you ever been in the
if
service?
they were illegals,
Have you
were
ever
they
been? Have you ever been in the service?
I was only in ROTC.
Oh, okay. You
I
didn't.
didn't even do that.
Okay, you didn't have no foot spurs or nothing.
No. Okay. Now look. Did you know?
But all joking aside, that's not right. These men and women have been over, some of them 2 or 3 tours of duty, okay, putting their lives on the line, okay. They come back,
They were promised.
okay, citizenship. They come back, and there's a bus waiting for them to go across the Rio Grande.
Okay, that's
No,
probably unfair.
that's wrong, huh?
If the facts
Yeah,
are right,
that's so-
you're,
yeah, that's
you're right.
unfair.
That's fact.
Only if the facts are right. But if people came into the United States and it was inducted into the military through a bunch of lies, absolutely get rid of it.
Why would they be lies?
No,
Well, if they were,
They're going to get a background when you go into the service.
I don't know.
no, we can come back
I've
with
been
we
there.
can come back with the exact details, because they had
I
like
don't
a
know the
whole
details.
documentary about how we have people serving in the military that are not citizens, but they were promised citizenship and they were denied under Trump administration.
Well, if they came in and inducted into the
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
the framework of the
Yeah.
United States military, I support them.
yeah, because why else
But
would they serve?
if you
in-
said I was a citizen when I was inducted in, You have falsified your record.
That's how they got out. That's how they were able to pinpoint them. It's because they knew it was several of them serving, and they were not citizens, and they were promised to be citizens.
Yeah, but what precedes the promise of citizenship? You have to follow the right framework, and it's got to be truthful and forthright.
I think what it was is that it wasn't a process written, and so we went
The
back.
military's always had a process.
It wasn't the military that made the call.
Well, who?
It was the attorney general.
Yeah, but
It was Sessions that did it.
we're talking two different things. Can I focus on the military for a second?
Mm-hmm.
The military is supposed to have people born and give loyalty to this country through a process, an oath of office. And everything they say in the application is the truth. For example, it wasn't like 1941 when black soldiers entered, because they were, they were already condemned.
Right.
But see, but they
What do
were
you mean
born here.
condemned?
But
They were
born
put on the
here.
front.
Yeah.
Put on the
There are a
front.
lot of ways.
Yeah, they didn't give them the proper weapons. They put them on the front.
I'm
Right.
not going to talk about it. It's not right now. We need to talk about that. But we're talking about
Thank you.
immigrants.
Right.
So in this case, I think that if immigrants came into this country and they lied on the application to the Army, and you had to go through that process, I would say that is that needs more investigation.
And I understand that, but I'm saying these are people that they knew were immigrants. That's how we were able to pinpoint them, because they knew that they were immigrants, but they were serving. You'd be surprised how big the number is, Henry.
Yeah, but you're still missing the point. The point is, what kind of application did they file when they went to the Army?
I am not in the military. I'm just telling you what the
Okay.
documentary said. I don't know. I've never been in the military.
Believe me, they did a background check on these people, okay? That went into the service. I've been there and done that.
Yeah, but
All right?
look, they can do a background check, but on your military records, when you go in, they say, where are you born? Oh, Flint, Michigan. What date were you born?
But you have to
Where did you go
process
to high school?
documents.
Now, look, this is the process. Even when you went in, that was the process. If you were born in Istanbul or South America someplace, and not here, and you said you were born here on your military record, that's a lie.
Of course it is.
But if you
And
have
but
a background,
I think
you know that.
I think let's
Deceiving.
get back to these children in children in cages, okay? Now, if I was in South America, okay, and I was scared for my family, all right, with all of this rhetoric that you hear about violence and drugs and this and that, whatnot, all right. Now, I would be on that walk too, on that march, all right, for a better life for my family, and I think you would be too, Henry.
Yes, I would.
And Jackie, you would be too.
Yeah.
Okay, for the future of our children.
And might like to get in for the same reason that these people
You know what I
are.
mean? See?
Survival of the fittest. I'm not saying that it's they were wrong in trying, but they got caught and they broke the rules,
Well,
the international rules.
did you not know that immigration is down lowest as it's ever been?
Yes.
It's not in a state of emergency right now. It's not, because the numbers are much lower than they've ever been. So my point is, for you to make this a 911, not you instating you, I'm saying as under the Trump administration, to make this a 911, it's not. We created the situation we have because we retain people we generally don't retain.
Again, we're talking about sovereignty. It all boils back to sovereignty.
Well, we're also
And
talking
I'm
about
sure that if you
life
were
and
to
death
ask your audience,
situations.
If it involves sovereignty, they would probably more than likely say yes.
No.
There are other things wrong in the world, but
See,
sovereignty
we
comes
have
first.
treaties with those
So
other
let's
countries
go
in
there.
South
So let's
America.
break down sovereignty, because I like to do this too, Henry. Let's go there. So sovereignty is the authority of state to govern itself, and to govern itself. So it doesn't mean to be wrong to other people. It just said to govern itself. If we have treaties with other countries, we need to honor those. We cannot live as an island where we only protect the United States, because that's what we're doing. We're worried about the United States, but we have allies that we have made treaties with where we're working together. We can't just abandon ship because we decided that we don't like the browning of America. Let's tell the truth. We don't like the browning of America. We're nervous, so we're retaining people. We're making them uncomfortable. We're trying to scare them so they don't want to come here to seek a better life. We only can be, we cannot judge where they're coming from because we're not there. We only can imagine the situations are as bad as they are.
You're stepping into deep water.
Well, let's step on deep water.
Which is, we're talking about sovereignty, and sovereignty supersedes everything else.
I don't think so.
Because sovereignty helps us to maintain internal stability.
But-
If you break down sovereignty and let everybody come in, you have no process of governance at all.
I
in
never
your
said to
community.
do that.
But even if we have agreements with other people, it takes a process to perform all of
All I'm saying is go through the process. Don't overlook the process.
I'm not combating the
Yeah,
process.
so we're actually on the
but I'm
same team.
defending-
Smile, Henry. We're on the same team. Smile.
I'm
'Cause it's-
defending.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is we're on the same team. I'm not saying. All I'm saying is go through the process. We made a
We're
process.
on the same table.
That's
On the
what I'm
same-
saying.
we're at
And
the
not
table.
very often. So let's go ahead and
Okay.
Okay. But what I'm saying is there is a process, and we need to use the process that we have in order for it to work. We cannot cut steps out to try to defend ourselves and make up stuff that's not true.
And I know the people know that you're a formidable argumenter. And I am doing well to get you to say that we're on the same side.
Happy New Year's, Henry.
But also, along with sovereignty, don't you have to have humanity too?
Compassion.
Yeah,
And compassion.
yeah,
Right.
all of that.
And
weighs
empathy.
in. All of that
Okay.
weighs in.
Because I know when I see, all of these children, some newborn babies, okay? Strangers taking care of them. They should be with their mothers.
Not just
All right.
strangers, but they have a video, Henry. I'm going to send you some information so you can see all the mishaps that's going on inside of these facilities, because they have a video of a young man, several, that are dragging the children, and the children are crying, and he's just, because they're tired of them, because they haven't been properly trained. They have no type of patience, because these children are crying all the time because they're miserable. And so we have, again, unskilled workers working in this, and they're getting paid. I mean, we have moved so much money to pay them, but we're not getting qualified staff members. And as the pediatrician said, the 2 children that died at the border, do you know what they had? They had the flu.
Yeah, I read that. But
Let's don't skip over that. If you had proper medical facilities at the border, like we've always had, we're so understaffed in the federal government and the state. We don't have proper people in the right places. Had we had the proper staff, 2 children could have been treated for the flu and still be with us.
But to use children as pawns between political entities is wrong.
That's not
Your
Yeah.
president, your president
The
is
President
doing
of the
that.
United States.
Trump administration.
Okay. Now, but that's wrong to use children. And who is doing this? It's people.
How is
who
he
have-
using children when
it's
they're
people-
there?
I'll wait until you finish.
Go ahead, Henry.
It's people who have a political interest in this matter. They don't care about the outcomes, whether they are favorable to the country, to the people who are victims, or not. They want to achieve some other goals that's not on the table. And I'm not sure always that you want to use children as
So who's profiting from those children? Who's profiting from the children?
As scapegoats to solve your problem or to answer a question.
Okay.
They should never be used.
That's
Okay.
right. But at this time, we must bring the, in my opinion, shows to a close. Hope you folks out there will enjoy this information that we've supplied. Until next time, this is Ronald Barrington Robinson and friends saying, stay focused.